All right, so Packers public training camp practice number 10 returned today was tight end Tucker Kraft. He had a groin injury. Obviously, he sat out of family night, and he was back today. This is Wes Hokowitz with the update. Did not participate, Emilio. We have Emmanuel Wilson with the knee, Dontavion Wicks with the calf, Nate Hobbs with the knee. I want to just mention briefly, Nate Hobbs had a minor procedure done. Sound like it might have been a knee clean out. They're expecting him back for week 1 per Bill Huber. So
my knee.
Nothing to worry about there. We got tackle Quay Walker with the groin. He did not participate. Offensive lineman Travis Glover.
Oh, Emilio. Emilio, a Kleenex real quick. Wipe those tears.
Yeah, no worries.
No worries at all. He's just trying to give these other guys a chance to catch up, right?
Absolutely.
That's all it is. Cornerback Kamal Haddon with the hip. You had defensive lineman Aaron Mosby with the groin. Running back Marshawn Lloyd with the groin. Wide receiver Christian Watson with the knee, still working that rehab process. Defensive end Colin Oliver with the hammy, and offensive line John Williams. Now, listen, I feel like they're being extra cautious, and we're getting ready to get into preseason week 1. You see some of these guys, Emilio, that are probably going to be, you got several starters there, but you got some that's probably number 2s on the team. Yep. You want to make sure that this week, what it's all about, in my opinion, is the 3s and the 4s is what you really want to get a good look at, right, in the first week of preseason, and then get the rest of these guys back, get them shaped up, and, maybe the second and third game of preseason. I think this is mostly precautionary. I don't see anybody here that I'm like, probably going to start on the pup, other than, of course, our boy Christian Watson, maybe Colin Oliver since he's so far behind. But what do you think of the injury report here, Emilio?
Yeah, I think the only other person that has a chance for pup there would be John Williams with that back. The way Goody was talking about it earlier, it seemed like it would be kind of a long-term thing, but, we'll see. And to that point, it was either DJ and Buck or Greg Cosell. They were talking, you only get so much practice time, right? You only get so much game time. So you kind of do have to get through, like you were saying, 3rd and 4th now. Get them on there, get as much tape as you can because your time gets crunched down. You still need to make a decision on players. I think Matt was even talking about it. Hey, we're kind of all over and we really need to cinch it down, this week and the week after and try to figure out our position. What are you doing? How many reps? Not just sort of, basic and kind of more, broadcast, training and things like that. Let's try to clean it up. Let's figure out what we need, who we need to see out there and kind of get those reps moving for them.
Yeah. What about you, Tim? How do you see it, buddy?
Yeah, I would agree with Emilio's point. A couple of the guys that I actually saw today doing their rehab was Tay Wicks and Emmanuel Wilson. They were doing some work on the medicine balls and just kind of testing mobility and things like that. They look pretty good. But, yeah, this is just that unfortunate time. We actually made it, pretty far into training camp before we had any actual injury issues. I'm actually surprised we didn't get some of these popping up sooner. So, I think you're right, man. Going into this year, we want to be as healthy as we can, but unfortunately we haven't even played one preseason game. And, there's a handful of names here on this list that we would have really liked to see get some of those reps. And, it looks like at least for this week, we're probably not going to see them. Colin Oliver being the first name that comes to mind. That was a guy I was looking forward to seeing out there. So we'll see what happens with that hammy.
Yeah, for sure. Jacob, we got Jacob joining us now. Obviously we're just jumping into the injuries here. And the injury update. Tucker Kraft returning, obviously great news here. And everything else is kind of pretty much still status quo here in terms of the injury report. Anything you want to add to that before we move along? Because we did have a signing today as well.
It's tough to see, like Tim said, this time of year. It seems like the injuries are starting to stack up, even though we were pretty privileged to not have many going into this. Have you talked about Nate Hobbs already?
Yeah.
Okay. What are your guys' thoughts on that? I just kind of heard it and didn't get much to delve into it. Is it something that's going to be ready for the start of the season, you think?
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. That's the plan.
Word on the street, right? That's what these Twitter screets are talking about right here. That he'll be a good to go for week 1, hopefully. So hopefully missing the whole preseason doesn't affect him as far as like playing speed and everything. But I'm sure once he's good to go, they'll get him out there.
Yeah, that's what I was more worried about was just what's going on with Hobbs. Obviously now we see why we signed a guy like Ballantyne, break glass in case of emergency, and how we've, me and Clay were looking at depth charts last night, and just overnight, all of a sudden that whole depth chart starts to look a lot different when you start looking at injuries like this. But I hope everything works out by the time we get the guys for week 1. I think we'll be good.
Yeah, and like I was saying just before you hopped on, Jacob, Nate Hobbs sounded like it was just a minor procedure, a clean out. And I know Christian Watson's dad made a couple comments on Twitter.
Whoa. We've got new info, though, on that, on Hobbs. It's not – I
thought it was a meniscus.
Yeah, meniscus.
Right, yeah, it was a minor tear, right, and they had to go in there and clean it out, right? So
I love those. I had a C tear on the meniscus. I mean, it's like the film in between the two knuckles. When it's when it's rubbing around on the knee, it's that film in between them.
Yeah, so they probably had to go in there and get some of that excess out. I would imagine is probably what happened, Amelia. Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, I would think. Yeah, if it wasn't a full tear or anything like that, because I mean, it kind of looks like a disc almost, and I had a C tear, so it kind of came across all the way down. But if it wasn't torn or anything, I'm sure they just kind of cleaned up some of the fluid or whatever's kind of hanging around there.
Yeah. Now listen, things could go wrong. Don't take this the wrong way. Like it could take a turn for the worse, but the vibe I'm getting is everything's good. Give him a couple weeks off of it, and then get him in practicing the week before, probably that where we don't have a preseason game there that final week of the preseason, if you will, right? And get him back in the practice fold. Hopefully he doesn't kill any of our offensive players out there on the field, and we'll be all right. You know what I mean? So I know there were some rumors that's, hey, is this Matt LaFleur saying, let's just hold him out until we get to the regular season so he doesn't hurt anybody? I think that's kind of silly, me personally.
I don't know. I'm not a doctor.
I think it was legit an injury, just like with our boy Elton Jenkins. I think he legit had something going on with his back. It seems like it doesn't mean he didn't want a contract early on, but yeah. So I don't see it as anything to worry about right now, Jacob, since you were kind of asking. But you never know, man. Sometimes things can happen. I know when they had Nate Hobbs in the locker room earlier today, he seemed very upbeat. Very, very upbeat.
I was going to just quick ask about your comment. Did you happen to watch his interview where he mentioned how strong he is in his faith and how he believes that this is just God testing him? And like, dude, I really have grown to love Nate Hobbs. And that's why I was at work all day, and I just saw in a group message, one of my Viking fans was like, there goes Hobbs. And my heart sank. I was like, no. And I didn't get a chance to really, like I said, get into the details until the ride home. And just hearing the kid talk, man, the way that he like you said, you got to respect a guy that doesn't give a crap what you think about his faith and the way he talks about it. And I was just very impressed with him.
Yeah. When your Vikings fan buddy there said, there goes Nate Hobbs, did you say, there goes Jordan Addison?
I did actually. I took a screenshot of the TV at the time and I said, well, 1 for 1 here.
Yeah, so if you guys haven't heard, we'll be real quick here. I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on Vikings talk, but the NFL suspended Vikings wide receiver Jordan Addison without pay for the first 3 games of the 2025 regular season for violating the NFL substance of abuse policy. Addison is permitted to participate in all training camp activities, including preseason games. So there you go. Wide receiver number 2. I feel comfortable saying he's wide receiver number 2 in Minnesota. So
oh yeah.
What substance was he abusing?
I thought he got a DUI.
That was a Dewey, yeah.
Yeah, Dewey. It was Uncle Dewey got him. Uncle Dewey slapped him right there on the ass. Mm-hmm. It happens. It happens with the best of them. All right, let's get back to the Packers talk. Sorry, I just had to work that in there, Jacob, since you wish we had the Vikings early this year. H.E. Soder says, I look at stuff different than that, Soder. I want these teams at their best, dude. I want them at their best. Obviously, we play the Vikings. It's going to be a little later in the season. We got them week 12, and then we got them the last week there too.
I believe it's 18. Yep,
week 18. So, yeah, I kind of like that's like with the Detroit Lions. You know, they're a little banged up, obviously, on the defensive front, but at the same time, I would rather them be fully healthy. That way, there's no excuses. Let's go in there and just crack skulls, let the best team win, type thing. So, yeah, Rob Domofsky had tweeted out another roster move. Wide receiver Sam Brown Jr. had a groin, has been waived injured. Okay. And you guys correct me if I'm wrong. When they waive a player injured, that's typically it, right? Like they don't even try to bring them back later in the year. That's how I kind of remember these things playing. I want to say they when you waive them injured, don't you have some kind of injury settlement? And now they move on. They move on to another team. They can't be signed by the team that waived them. I could be wrong there, but nonetheless, we went and signed offensive lineman Lasitas Smith. All right. Now, obviously, he's been on the roster before, and I think this is just something like, hey, let's get a guy. It's much like the Corey Ballantyne situation, right? Get a guy in here, Tim, that is familiar with the team, knows the offense, just like Corey Ballantyne, probably has a pretty good grab of the defense, at least having a full year there with Jeff Hafley. So I like this. We'll see what happens. So what do you think?
It's moves like this that, from my perspective as a fan, it gives me faith in my staff that we're doing what we need to do to cover our bases. Jacob made a great comment about Ballantyne. Ballantyne's not going to come in and be a world beater for you and be your CB1 or anything. But he does. He raises the floor and he gives you a little bit of a security blanket in your DB room, which, has kind of got a few question marks. Let's be honest. I love our guys, but there's still a lot of questions that need to be answered, and bringing in a steady pool of talent is going to help. And it applies the same logic to the O-line. I mean, we're still trying to figure out what's going on at left tackle, right? We got to figure out backup center. We've got to figure out, some pieces there. So I like the moves, man. I really do.
Yeah, Blake B says, Lasitas 316, Emilio. I think that is, thou shalt not take Travis Glover's job. Is that what that is?
Yeah, that is exactly what it says. Because we need
thou
to
shall not line up in the neutral zone.
Yeah, please. Please, we don't need that. Obviously, we're going to need somebody to take the reps. Someone's got to take the handoff. Someone's got to block for, Malik, whoever else is out there. So I'm for it. You got a couple injuries on the O-line. You would thought that you had, John Williams playing, and he's not. So you got to make do with what you have.
Yeah, and here we go. One final injury update. Mike Spofford tweeted out linebacker Quay Walker taking his first 11-on-11 reps this summer for the Packers. Run D making things difficult for Josh Jacobs. Love not getting many clean pockets early either. Nice seam for Savion Williams on an end around. Then a bad shotgun snap. Defense continuing strong work from Family Night. So Quay Walker returns. We'll talk about that bad snap here in a little bit as Elton Jenkins continues to try to work the rust off there, missing some probably pretty valuable time since you're the new center. But Quay Walker's back. Tim, you have the floor here, and I want to get Jacob's take. This is exciting, man. This is kind of what we talked about, is him. Let's ease him back into it and make sure he's ready for week one.
It was so good to see that today. I was over there looking for him in the rehab group, and I didn't see that jersey, and I started scratching my head going, okay, where's Quay? Where's Quay? And then lo and behold, there he is running 11-on-11s with the team. So I would anticipate they're going to continue to increase his load further and further so that we can get him ready to go as quickly as possible without also rushing him back too soon. So this is a huge step for him in that rehab coming off that ankle surgery.
Yeah. Jacob, you got anything else on Quay here, man? It's great news, obviously, right?
Yeah. Ed Madden talking about what I'm most excited is to see these two monsters on the field at the same time. And if for whatever reason, if it is more of a traditional 4-3 type set, you add in a guy like either a McDuffie or Isaiah Simmons, which is kind of an unknown, that could be an absolute spark plug that we're not really thinking about that could really be a difference maker. And I know Matt LaFleur today, when asked about Quay, he said, he's the quarterback of the defense. So obviously when he's on the field, they're a better defense. And the more that they can have that continuity, play with each other, get comfortable, especially going into the second year with half and that scheme that he's been implementing, it's just going to make, I think, a world of difference. And I don't think you're going to have many people that if you don't have that quarterback of the defense firing at all cylinders to start the year, it's tough to think that we're going to have that type of sophomore season that I believe Hafley's going to.
Definitely. Cheesehead Murph, everybody in the chat pointing out that I'm not following Mike Spofford here. So I have Mike Spofford added to a special list, so I get notified when he tweets. However, drum roll, boys, we're going to give him a follow. You ready?
Big money, no whammy.
Man, you guys missed it too. Tim popped that up.
Yeah, it's all fake. Yeah, it's all edited anyway. It doesn't matter.
There you go, boys. Mike Spofford has arrived. He's going, who the hell is this guy just following? What a weirdo.
At least it's not this guy, right?
That guy follows you too. He just follows you around the grocery store. You know what I'm saying? So.
This is the exact person you go to whenever you need a Werther's original.
Yeah. Is it just me, or does that guy's check liver light look like it's on too? Like, seriously, he's running in the red. I'm